Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to diving into the latest AI innovation from Alibaba Cloud. They have introduced a new large language reasoning model, which is heavily dependent upon a reinforcement learning. And this model is built on the Queen series. As you can see on my screen, I am on a Ollama website, and here is the QwQ, and it's a reasoning model, and it is really getting a lot of hype in the market, and we can quickly going to set up with the Ollama in our local machine and see its capability in action, right? So if we just talk about the parameter and the size of this large language model, it seems like we have only 32 billion parameter one, though we have various different size of large language model available, but we are going to use the latest one, right? And it seems like when I was reading through, the benchmarking, which, it's claiming, it seems like it is pretty much at par with DeepSeek, 671 billion. So what it means? It means that the concise large language model is going to give us a more or less the same performance in AI ME24 what we are getting with the DeepSeek 671 billion. Same, we can see, you can see this, you can just go to the Ollama and you can just look at and read all those kind of stuff. Right. So now just dive into the setup part. So it's very straightforward. We're going to use the Ollama, which is going to help us to run this, QwQ large language model locally. So the command is very straightforward. Ollama run QwQ. And if you have watched my previous video, it's very straightforward. You can just click on this part, Ollama run QwQ, and then you will get this command. And once you run it, for you, if it is not downloaded, it is going to download it. Since I have downloaded in the morning, the size of this 32 billion large language model is 19 GB, which is very good. And now we are inside the console where we can ask any question. So let me ask a very simple question. What is Big Bang? Okay, so when I ask this question, it is going to in a thinking mode. And now this is really very impressive, because if you just see what it is trying to do, and it is just giving you how it is thinking, like what kind of question you have asked and how it is going to create the response step by step. So I need to explain what the Big Bang is. Where to start? I remember from school that it's the theory about the universe begin, but I'm a bit fuzzy on the detail. Let me think. The Big Bang is not really an explosion in space, right? It's more like expansion of space itself. So it's just giving us a sense like how it is actually thinking and how it is actually building the response for us. But in the meantime, I was just thinking, I was just playing around and see, what if I ask the same question, to DeepSeek R1, right, in a thinking mode, right? So I'm just using this Deep Think R1, right? And I ask same question, what is Big Bang? And this is what the response I'm getting, right? The user is asking again, what is Big Bang, right? So since I have asked this without, this thinking model, so that's the reason it is just saying now it is a user is asking again. So now it is just giving us how it is thinking, what kind of thinking is beyond the response we got from the DeepSeek R1. This is how the response from DeepSeek R1 looks like. For example, the beginning, the universe started 13.8 billion years ago, extremely hot, dense point, which we know as singularity. Then the key events like inflation, cooling, atoms, stars in the galaxy, evidences, cosmic microwave background, galaxy redshift, light element abundance, and then misconceptions, right? This is from the DeepSeek R1. Same thing I asked with the ChatGPT O1 mini, right? And this is what we are getting, the Big Bang theory, right? So DeepSeek R1 really looks bit formatted properly and it looks good, right? Same thing I asked with Ollama, and this is what the response which we got. We can see news sources as well, like what all sources Ollama uses. And then I asked the same question to Gemini in a deep, I just use the deep search one rather than the flash, just to get the sense like, how the things are being, created by the Gemini deep research model. And this is really very comprehensive. I don't know whether, QwQ is going to do that for us, which is running in local, but see, this is what we are getting. All right, first, the Big Bang theory is the most accepted model for the origin of universe. That makes sense. And then there was a rapid expansion called inflation. That also makes sense. After inflation, the universe continued to expand and cool practical form like quarks and electrons. That also makes sense. Then proton neutron came together to form a nuclei, Big Bang synthesis. Cool, this looks really awesome. So now we can see, I mean, how this model is actually thinking before it's just provide us the response, right? So, but since it's a little bit slower, let's see the CPU uses and all this stuff. So since my GPU card is having only 8 GB, so it seems like the 8 GB RAM is completely being utilized here. And it requires 31.13.8 memory, right? So what does it mean? It consumes all the 8 GB and then it start, borrowing the RAM from the system. And that's the reason the inference speed which we have here, it's pretty much very, very slow, right? So until this point, it's thinking. So basically it's a reasoning model under which it's trying to think how to create the response, how to think about the question and what kind of, how to frame the answer for that. Right, so this really looks good. The Big Bang theory and explanation, okay, the core concept, origin, and all this stuff. So if you just see this explanation, which is really, really awesome. If I just go back to the, like, what kind of response we got from the Ollama, it's very concise. It's from ChatGPT, O1 Mini as well. And then we have this DeepSeek one. It looks good. So for this particular question, this QwQ really looks very awesome to me, at least so far what we can just see on my screen, right? So this is really awesome, but the inference speed again, it's questionable because it's very slow. For me at least, because I don't have, enough memory with my GPU card, but still, it's manageable because inference speed is something which I'm not very much worried about at this point in time. Awesome. This really looks good, right? Cool. So now I can cancel this and we can ask a different question, probably from something from coding perspective, right? So let's see. Okay. If I ask, could you please share the fast API based Python code for web server with GET and POST request supported? Let's see. So first it's going to think, and we can just observe how it is thinking to just provide us a code for the web server with the help of a fast API library of Python. And the user is asking for fast API based Python code. Let me start with the calling what is fast API. So it's actually giving you the entire thinking mechanism on which, this QwQ is going to create the response for you. And what we can do, we can ask the same question to the other publicly available models. Okay, so we can come here, we can ask the same question to DeepSeek R1 and let's see what we get there. Okay, so I'm gonna say same question, but I'm gonna remove Keep Thinking R1 because I don't need that for now. Okay, same question we can copy and we can ask ChatGPT. We don't need reason, so I'm just not requiring reason. And then we're gonna ask the same question to Gemini. And then disable this DeepSeek deep research. I don't want that. Probably we can just stick to the Flash one. We can run this, right? So I think Ollama, we can ask the Ollama as well. Okay, so let's run it. And let's come back here. Okay, so it's still thinking. So we can see, how it is thinking. So we know the rationale behind whatever the response we're gonna get, how this large language model reached to the responses which it is going to return back to us. And this is really awesome to see how it is thinking, right? And now we can, have a more control, or precisely we will be knowing how the response was created by this large language model, right? So it's actually just doing its own magic. Come back here. Let's see what we are getting with the, okay, this is from the meta. Okay, so we got get and post, looks good. Come back Gemini. Okay, so this also looks good. Okay, And then if I just go back to the chat GPT, this also looks good. And now we have this option where we can try to run it if we want. But I don't know. Oh, it's failing. It's saying mod blue is not found. Like it's expecting SSL to be there, but I'm not worried about that for now because this is not something I'm much concerned. You know how the chat GPT is set up there. Okay, this code also looks good for the DeepSeek R1. Let's see if QwQ is ready to provide us the code. So it's still thinking and it's still just formulating or just creating the step for itself to then add the explanation. So thinking is done at this point in time. So now if you just go through with this entire content, you will be knowing, how the response is actually being generated by the QwQ, and which really looks good to me and it's really awesome, right? So, I mean, likewise, so far, I really find this very interesting and amazing because the size of this model is just 20 GB with 32 billion parameter, and it is giving pretty much very same response what DeepSeek R1 with 671 billion large language model is providing. And if we can just see with these two questions like ChatGPT O1 mini, pretty much okay, right? So now based on the similar guideline, you can just do this comparison for whatever kind of use case you have on which you want to use these large language model. Like, I mean, and for me, I mean, I'm really impressed the way, this concise and lightweight, 32 billion parameter large language model is performing, right? So you can ask any question and you can just get to it. So I really impressed with that because I'm easily able to run that on with one GPU, which is really awesome. So I would suggest, just set up on your local, and if you face any issue, just, feel free to put that into the comment section. If you face any issue, I would love to help you on that, but it's very straightforward. So I would urge everybody, just try to have this set up on your local and just use as much as you can to see what kind of help it can provide you for your day-to-day work. So that's it from my side for this video. And from my perspective, this is really awesome.